What's up? What's up, everybody? Good evening. What's popping, everybody? Tuesday, everybody. Everybody, thank you for joining. So, this is episode 31. We're talking about breast cancer. Woo woo. Surviving breast cancer, the importance of early detection. But anyway, let's go into this. Tammy, how was your week has started? How has it been so far?
I had a great day yesterday. That's a whole nother conversation. And today was quite busy. I got a lot of things accomplished, but I'm tired because I had to take my godmother to the airport to pick up her sister who's here from Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I hate
Wow.
running in like that. So Tasha was like, "You gotta do this, you gotta do that." I was like, "Tasha, just give me a minute to decompress." So I'm here. And I wasn't gonna let y'all catch me, but I lash because I look like real bald and crazy. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, sounds pretty good for, well, today's a Tuesday. So you're going into Wednesday. So I guess your Monday started off pretty good.
And how was yours, Tasha? How's my girl?
Well, anyway, your girl's doing fine. She's resting right now, getting her beauty sleep, what
She
she
laughs at me,
needs.
y'all. All the girl do is laugh at me. When I talk to her, she cracks up like
She does. She thinks Tammy's funny. But my week, so far, well, Monday, it's been pretty good. Work has been great, busy. I'm back at work and it is busy, busy, busy. It's a new physical year for us and
okay.
everything starts all over and we got to do annual reports and do
So
publications for our,
it's your new fiscal year.
yes, we start every
Oh.
October, not January. So,
Oh. And see, ours start in June.
oh,
July,
wow.
yeah. College is July 1st is when the fiscal year starts. So you have to have
Wow.
everything. Like our budgets are for 2023, or we're already operating on 2022. By July 1st, we'll be operating on 2023, and it's weird because it's not a calendar year. So you can like
Right.
2023. Mhm.
And every national data that we use, they start their physical year in January. So we're always like, okay, so they're always
So
like
wait, do they call it
a
a physical year or fiscal?
physical,
Fiscal. Okay.
physical year,
Okay. I'm like, well, what they get physical with?
physical. So everything's always behind us. So, but it's always great, in the nursing world to kind of do a lot of research and performance improvements. And that is, speaking of performance improvement, that's one thing I want you guys to do starting today. A performance improvement and check your breasts. That goes for the man too. Check your breasts. I'm not playing.
Every year after I turned 40. So for the past 6 years, I've been going to get my breast exams, my mammograms, and I don't play with it. Um, we have had family members who have had breast cancer.
Yes.
Not directly my mom, no, but I'm really, really adamant about it. And you have to schedule them accordingly because if you're mincing, they won't let you come because a lot of times your breasts are tender and they have some new type of machine as well. But I don't play, and I always see it's fashionable to get um, your breast check. Like, make sure you got this outfit on that little that blue overcoat, and it's really quick and painless. Well, depending on your breast size, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
important, ladies, particularly after 40, to get your breast checked every year.
Yeah. And
And
just
like Tasha said, do your breast exams.
yeah, just a little bit about that. Let me pop this on here, guys. Of course, let me just to let you guys know, this is October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Early detection is the best prevention. Of course, you have these risk factors here. If you have a family history of breast cancer, if you consume alcohol, animal fat, which we all do because we eat meat, tobacco, if you have a past history of cancer in the body, or if you're obese, actually. The prevention, of course, is breast self exams monthly, guys. Do it monthly for men too. Clinical breast exams you get annually by your primary provider or your OBGYN for females. And also you get a sonogram, which is a mammogram, at the age of 40. It says after the age of 40, but 40 is best. But if you do have family history, you should get it done before 40. And just for my disclaimer here, I am not a provider, and none of this information we are trying to diagnose anybody. So if you have any questions or any concerns about yourself or your health, please see your provider. Again, this information that we're giving is just information for your knowledge base, not to diagnose anybody, and not for you not to go get checked by your provider. Okay. Thank you guys for that. And let's see here. And just one more thing I want to go into. So I didn't actually let Tammy know this, but I actually had a scare recently. Just found out last week
She
that
did, but I was like, don't tell me because you want to give me half of your story. So keep your damn information. So I'm like, Tasha, I'm not gonna say anything. Then don't give me half the story and then have me all scared and concerned and you want to be playing with my damn
so I
information.
went in
Sorry, y'all.
because I'm an open book. I went in, I got my ultrasound, of course, and it was like, oh, we're just gonna do an ultrasound and we're gonna see if it's cysts. And cysts are fluid filled pockets in your breast that you can have. So he's like, oh, we're just gonna aspirate it. Aspiration means just pulling the fluid out. Well, they were poking in there and they took too long, and I was like, so what y'all doing? And they was like, well, there's nothing coming out, madam, so we need to do a biopsy. So they did the biopsy, and of course, you're sitting and waiting and sitting for 2 days trying to figure out where is these biopsy results, whether it's benign, which means it's non-cancerous, or it's cancer. So of course, mine was benign, wasn't cancer, and I thank God for that. And of course, my husband did too. We were had people on our prayer list thinking, making sure that it wasn't. Of course, now that I had that, I have to continue to go ahead and get mammograms, and again, once a year, and just, for them to check every now and then. So what it is, I have very dense breasts. So if you have very dense breasts, it's kind of a fact where you got to get the 3D imaging so they can really see through those dense breasts. Okay. So don't forget.
And Tasha, that's probably because of you had the baby and the little bit of weight gain. Because I never forget about 2 years ago when I went for mine, I got this lengthy letter back, and I'm like, ain't no. I opened that letter like this letter is way too long. But basically, what they said is I had dense breasts. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Does it have anything to do with having like a lot of fatty tissue in your breast area, or
Well,
no?
dense means that it's kind of like it's not as thin, and I
Right.
had dense
Right.
breasts before I was pregnant.
Okay.
Because I've had a mammogram before, and as I found out when I met you, Tammy, and the rest of my cousins, that I had aunts who had breast cancer. So I was like, okay, now I got a family history. I know I need to get checked. So I actually had dense breasts before pregnancy, but they cannot see that good through there. So that's why they do the special 3D imaging instead of just a regular mammogram. So it doesn't matter. You can be in the itty bitty committee. So
Well, that was me most of my life, and then when I got fat, them D's just kicked in like boom. But the way I work out, I'm hoping I can go back to it. See, I'm not a fan of breasts. I'm like, oh, I wish I could wear no bras and a t-shirt all the time. But
So, guys, we do have a special guest, but if you have any questions for our guest, drop them in the comments. Even if you just want to say something to us like hello, drop it in the comment. Also, I want to make sure that you guys tell your friends and family members, share our podcast on your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you have on any of those social medias. If you have any suggestions or topics, or you want to be on our podcast, email us at fineandtaylorcousinscrew@gmail, or you can just message us on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, and we'll get back with you and have you on as a guest, as long as you have important things to talk about or just fun things. Maybe just come on and join us when we have girl talk or guy talk, just to chat it up. But with further ado, let's go into this. So, Tammy's, are you ready to introduce our guest? You're muted, Tammy. I can't hear you.
absolutely. So
Okay,
Aisha,
let's go.
are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Here
So
we
Miss
go.
Aisha, Miss Aisha Lawrey is a STEM advocate. Aisha has 20 years of experience on this journey, working in the industry, government, nonprofits, and education. She shows how to engage many different stakeholders at all levels. Her focus is on increasing the number of women and minorities in engineering. Woo-hoo, Black women in STEM. Aisha currently works for AWS, Amazon Web Services, as the Training and Certification Global Lead for Education Programs. AMER, which is North Central and South America, right? Okay. Her role represents all the education programs spanning through K through 12, higher education, and professional skilling, reskilling, and upskilling learners. The goal is to show multiple pathways to learners that lead to professionals joining the cloud workforce. That's done by inspiring and creating technical learning experience to excite younger learners to stay on a STEM and STEAM track and present them with role models that demonstrate a STEM and STEAM career is attainable and demonstrate to them that a STEM and STEAM career is attainable for anyone. Prior to joining AWS, Aisha worked at the National Action Council for Minorities in Engineering as the Senior Director of Programs and Scholarships. She was responsible for planning, directing, and executing all scholarships and program activities. She was also the Director of Engineering Education with the American Society of Mechanical Engineering. She directed and guided the work of ASME in helping to shape the future of mechanical engineering and engineering technology. She is currently a AAAS IFTEN STEAM ambassador and even has a 3D scanned statue in her image, which I thought was so dope. I was like, yeah, Aisha got a statue. Has obtained a master's of public policy and administration from Rutgers University, is where I met her. She was in my cohort when we did our master's together, and a bachelor's of engineering degree in electrical engineering from Stevens Institute of Technology. A New Jersey native, Aisha now resides in Maryland. I think that's all I can see. Oh, wait, go. And she has 14-year-old twins. So, on a different note, just a little bit personal, Aisha was in my cohort from 2004 to 2006 at Rutgers University, and she's just one of the sweetest, most real women. And I'm always intrigued by women who are in math and engineering because that is something I typically struggle with. So I was like, wait, you know how to count? You can count and do engineering and you can do equations. So with no further ado, we're going to bring Mrs. Aisha Lawrey into the studio. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much.
We are honored to have you.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Aisha has like a statue made of her. So we always we don't see each other, we don't talk to each other. And she's like, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, but no, honey, you got a whole statue, honey. I don't have no statues on her for me.
Where is the statue? Where is it located?
So it is actually located in Dallas, and that's because the funder of the organization, it's called If Then. And it's basically, if you educate a girl, then you educate a nation. And so the whole premise of the If Then initiative is this woman, she, was left a lot of money and she wanted to really do good with the money. And one of the initiatives that she had, not having a background in any of the STEM fields, was to really reach out because she really felt like those were the fields where you saw the least amount of women. And she wanted to really help to be able to inspire younger women to be able to go into these fields. And so she came up with this initiative and worked with AAAS, which is the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and worked with them to select ambassadors. So there are about 120 of us.
Wow.
And which is so cool because even when I look at the women who are in my cohort, I'm like, what am I doing here? Like how did I get here? And so just to be with these other women and for the focus of what we're doing to really be able to help to be able to increase the number of women, the percentage of women in these fields is awesome. And so she actually sponsors us and we actually get paid. Like many of us, we were already doing this anyway. But as a part of the ambassadorship, we get funds to work on projects either that we've had already or new projects that we've come up with. And so that has been really, really cool. And because she actually lives in Dallas, in Texas, she wanted them to be in a park that she could go to and to be able to see all of these 3D scan statues. So they're in a park that's very close to where she lives, and that's where they're in Dallas.
And I'm going there in November, so I'm gonna find your statue. I'm gonna be like,
So in Dallas, is it a how tall is this thing?
It is it is
About
actually
6 feet?
yeah, so it's about 6 feet because what they did was they scanned us, and then it's on like a little platform. So they may be different sizes depending on what heights the women are, but mine's is probably about 6 feet.
Okay, so this is it here.
Yes,
Okay.
that's it. Yeah.
All right,
And
nice.
so there's like a park where all of the statues are, and it's really cool.
Nice.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to get there to see it.
so what?
Wow, you haven't been there yet?
Was that
I haven't gone
you?
yet.
Is that you? Is that the one of you? No.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's the one of me.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna go and be like,
Nice.
Girl,
Nice.
you are so crazy. Yeah, so I haven't gone yet. I'm actually going next weekend. So I'm super
Okay.
excited. My parents, my husband, my kids. So it's going to be a really fun event. And the reason why it has taken so long is because there was supposed to be a really big like production and unveiling, but then COVID.
Oh
So
yeah.
COVID just shut down
yeah,
everything.
did it?
So,
They messed up people money. Yeah, it
yes.
just came. It's like the Grim Reaper. It just shut everything down.
Yeah,
right?
it shut down everything. And so then they were going to do something else this year. But then as we got closer, with it being in Texas and the numbers for the cases there began to go
Yes.
up, they like canceled it again. And they just told people, like, if you want to come on your own, you're more than welcome to come. And they said, just if you're going to come, let us know, because they wanted to try to have some media or take pictures or something like that. So, I was like, no, I'm going. I'm not waiting anymore.
So the name of this park is what again? Do you know
It's
the
called,
name of
yeah,
it?
it's called North Park Center, and it's
North
right
Park.
in downtown Dallas.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, so it should be really nice. And like surrounding the park, which is my favorite, there's like all this like high-end shopping around it.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Even my statue gets to look amongst Neiman Marcus. And
Yes, yes, yes.
so yeah, very, very exciting.
So
Congratulations again.
yes,
Thank you so
congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
Aisha, tell us how your journey began to being diagnosed.
Yeah, so it's really crazy. There is actually a history in my family of not just breast cancer, but all cancers. So my grandmother had 13, she had 12 sisters and one brother. So out of all of them, there is only one of them left, and they all passed away from some form of cancer. And so because of that, and my mother just really making sure that she relayed that to my sisters and myself, because I'm the oldest of four girls. So she always, just made sure we understood and knew about the history in our family. That was really important to her. So my mother actually, she was diagnosed and had cervical cancer. It was in the very early stages. So she had a surgery and she is doing well and she's fine. And I think that ever since I really got into college, I really began to look more and more into just, like all the different types of cancers and when you should start really making sure that you do your checks and, going to get your mammogram and all of those things. And when I would ask the doctors, they would tell me, "Oh, you're really early," because I started like in my early 20s, like, you need to check me, you need to check me. And they finally did at like 25. So I started actually at 25. And I began to do my own self-examinations. And so because of that, I actually found the lump in my breast myself.
Okay.
Yeah, doing my self-examination, just being in the shower. I would, while I'm taking a shower, just make sure that I do my checks, and I would, feel around and make sure like, that don't feel right. Because there were some lumps. I'm like, I know these lumps, these are familiar to me, feeling, but it was one that I was like, this does not feel right.
And
And
some of
so,
those lumps, not to cut you off, but some of the
mhm.
lumps that you do feel in your breast could be scar tissue as well. So
Yes,
that
scar
is
tissue and
right.
cysts. So yeah,
Correct.
so the doctor told me that they could be cysts as well. And I heard you ladies talking before I joined just about having dense breast and tissue. So a lot of times that is what can happen as well. So I remember when I found it, I was in the shower. I probably was in there, not even kidding, like 45 minutes, just standing there because I was nervous.
I'm
Right.
sure.
Like I was just like standing in the shower, just like, okay, is this what
Am
I
I
think
really
it
feeling
is?
this?
Yeah,
Right.
And,
like is
and
this?
how old were the twins at that point?
So the twins were, I think they were maybe 5 or 6.
And
No, no,
believe
no.
you me,
They were actually 8 because I was 38. So this
and I
happened 7
remember,
years
Ish, when
ago.
you called me, I was working at Homeland Security that summer, and you called, and I called you. I can remember exactly where I was in the marshes, and you was like, "I'm pregnant with twins." I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I remember
Girl,
that.
yes.
So
You
as
got
a
the only
mother,
one.
right? As a mother, I'm sure you immediately think of your baby, right?
Yes, that is immediately. And so that's why it took me so long just to get out of the shower, because I was just standing in there. And even my husband was like, when I came in, he was like, well, what in the world? Like, and even when I came out, I didn't say anything to him because for me, I just felt like I couldn't even say it, because if I said it, then it was going to make it real. And I wasn't ready to even deal with that realness. Right. And so it wasn't even until the next day, like the whole day, I know, like my body language, everything was off. Like I was completely off, just totally off. And I called the doctor the next day and just was like, I need to come in. And I went in, and we did the test. And I think you mentioned, um, she had to do a biopsy.
Right.
So that was like excruciating,
Oh,
waiting.
for the results, right?
Yeah, waiting for the results and to get that back. And so when I got it back, I just couldn't believe it. Like I
Did
cried
they
and
call
cried.
you or did you have to go in the office to get your
I went
results?
into the office, and that
Okay.
was the other thing, because I have a good relationship with my doctor. And this is when I was in New Jersey before I moved to Maryland. So I had a really good relationship with her, and she knew me. So she was like, I need you to come in. Like, I'm going to need you to come in. And so I went in to see her, and she told me, and she sat next to me. And that's something else that's really important to me, is having a relationship with your doctor. That was really, really important to me. Not just, to have a doctor, to have one, but when I got my doctor, I mean, first of all, I wanted to make sure she looked like me. That's just my own preference. And I wanted a doctor who I really felt was warm and had that bedside manner. I didn't want a doctor to come in and just, you know, let's do your
Skip in and skip out.
examination. Yeah, and then that's it. Like, I mean, I come in, my doctor's like, hey girl, how you doing? So what's been going on? Like, what them kids doing? Stuff like that. And that's the kind of doctor I want. So she sat next to me, and she grabbed my hand, and she just said, like, the results came back. And as soon as she grabbed my hand,
Yeah.
Stop crying.
immediately I
Yeah.
was like, oh my goodness, tears, tears, tears. And she was ready with the tissue. And she just said, I know you have a lot of questions. I have, all the answers. And if there are answers that I can't get to, I will find somebody to make sure that I get you what it is you need. And she was like, I'll be here with you every step of the way. And she said, I can refer you to like the best oncologist. We're gonna make sure you're taken care of. And so I really sat there, and she was like, you take your time. And we just talked, and She was like, take your time. If you feel like you can't leave yet, then let me know and I can, put you in another room and you can sit there as long as you want. And that was really helpful. So I even like went into another room and I was there for maybe 30 more minutes just because in my mind, like you said, Tammy, I was like, oh my God, I think the twins were like in second grade. So I'm like, oh my God, they're so little. And I didn't even know I wanted to be a mom and I am. And just all of this stuff. And then
a plethora of thoughts just flooding your brain,
like,
right?
I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, my husband's name is Dakar. I'm like, Dakar, is he gonna be able to do all of this by himself? And
yeah.
So what you did was you already had wrote yourself off.
I really did.
And just thinking about that, that negativity, it comes in your mind and you're like, okay, how can I snap this out of here? Because
but that's the
positivity is the thing, but it's reality. And so of course you think the worst,
But that's what, when you hear it, you typically hear people, at the worst stage.
Yes.
Because like, I had a student, her name was Keisha Washington, and Keisha had no insurance. This is another whole situation. They would not touch her. She had stage 4 breast cancer. They would not touch her. And I remember her coming in my office. She had just turned 40, and she was a young mom. And she had older boys. They were like in their late teens and early 20s. And she said, Tam, I have breast cancer. You could just tell the fear. So she would come to my house and she kept saying, Tam, my flesh is burning. Like, I hate the way it smells. I'm nosy. So I'm like, well, what do you mean? And she showed it to me. Each, like, her whole breast was black. And it was like a big pus, and they would not touch her. So she became so discouraged about the Susan Komen. She's like, all that stuff is bullshit. Like, nobody will touch me. And they wouldn't touch her. And then as soon as she was approved for Medicaid, the next day, Medicaid, Medicare, I always get that mixed up. The next day,
Medicaid.
Medicaid. Okay, she went in. She was diagnosed. They told her they would, schedule her surgery. And immediately she went home and passed out because she bled out. And if her son had not been there, she would have died. But long story short, she ended up getting, and I used to go, I was working at Berkeley at the time, and I would get up for my lunch hours, and I would go and do her chemo with her. And she had this cold Caucasian doctor that she called the Republican. And it was funny because I was in my phone. I was like, that damn kid, and I remember her having braids. And the chemo burnt her hair out so bad that I would pull her hair and her braids just was falling out. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get you a wig and I'm going to get the same wig as you. So she came to the house. She sat on the floor. To this day, she will tell you, I mean this. I'm like, you so mean. But I was like, well, we both couldn't cry. And I was pulling her braids out from her scalp. I didn't have to unwrap. They were like falling. And when I finished, she bawled. And she had a head full of pretty hair. And she sat on my floor and bawled. And I was like, Keisha, it's going to be okay. I was like, you can get your hair back. But we got to get through this process. And I haven't talked to her probably in a good 4 or 5 years. I'm assuming she's okay. I haven't heard. I don't know. But that was very grueling. And I'm like, listen. And when Obama was doing the whole healthcare issue, I was like, you guys don't understand the severity of it. Like, they won't touch you without insurance. So if you're
that's why that Obamacare was out, and they were trying to make sure people have insurance, because certain countries, it's national. Like, everybody in their country has insurance.
Yeah, Canada, insurance and education. Like, when I was pregnant, I kept joking with my husband, like, we going to Canada to make sure these twins get some free education because it's free there. So,
and healthcare insurance,
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
So I know that in your because I read it on Facebook because we follow one another on Facebook, and you said that did she immediately schedule you for surgery? Like, how did that go?
She immediately did. So in the process of her talking to me, and I was very, like I said, I was very knowledgeable just because of my family history. So I read up on like the different stages. I even like read up on, you all were talking about like certain foods. And I think people don't really focus and talk about that enough. There are foods that can really help you prevent cancer.
Those leafy greens, right?
Yes, and how to deal with it and how to manage. And so I went and got a book. It was like this thick, and it was just about like all different types of foods and things like that. And so I was doing all this stuff trying to prevent something that didn't even happen. And so then when it did happen, I was just like, I really beat up on myself because I said, well, maybe I didn't do enough. Then I was like, maybe I should have exercised more. Maybe I should have did this and maybe I should have did that. So it was really devastating. But when she talked to me and explained and just told me what stage it was, she was like, you're in stage 1. It's very early. So she was like, it's really a good thing that you were doing your self breast examinations because many women don't. And I had actually just gone to the doctor. So this happened in April. I had gone to the doctor in January and I actually had my mammogram and everything then. Everything came out fine. So now it's April and I did the examination. So she said, can you imagine? And we had a whole conversation like you waiting until coming back in January, to have your exam again. That's a whole year. And, she said, tumors grow very quickly. People don't understand at the rate that they grow and so many different things can happen. So she said, if you were not really paying attention to your body or you ignored it, and you went longer, then a tumor could have grown. And we would be having this conversation and you could be at later stages. So she said, because you did that and it's very early, she just really reassured me that, this is something that is definitely manageable. And she said, if we're able to, do the surgery, we can get the whole tumor. And so what they do is they also take margins outside of where the tumor is just to make sure that nothing has spread. She said, if everything, comes out and you have to come back. So I was going back like every 2 to 3 months to get my margins checked. And nothing has spread. Then she said, you will be fine. And she also talked to me about chemo if we needed to go that route. But she was, just really confident because it was so early that she said, I think, you scheduling and having your lumpectomy, that, you should definitely be fine. But she said, again, because it's so early and you were able to do your own self-breast examination, this is why, I feel really confident about your success rate.
Right, right. And that's just speaking about that early detection, like you said, is the best. And, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, there are survivors in every stage.
Yes,
But the
yes,
stage 4 is very slim chance, but there are a lot of people who were at stage 4
yes,
and have survived. When
yes.
they're at stage 4, it gets into the lymph node system, which is
Mm-hmm.
all over your body. And
Right.
so when you get sick, your lymphatic system, it actually helps you fight off anything. So you may
Mm-hmm.
get a fever, or you may get
Right.
chills or anything. So if a cancer cell gets into the lymphatic system, it can travel to any of the lymphatic ones that you have. You have them under your arms, your neck, it's everywhere, in
Yes.
your growing area.
Mm-hmm.
So once it spreads and it gets in there, it
Yeah.
goes rampant.
It's very, very
It's
hard.
almost like I don't know if you see ants, you see put a piece of a crumb on the ground and one
Mm-hmm. And
ant
they
get to
all
it and
just
then all
attack
of
you.
them. That's
Yeah.
how the cancer cell is. It
Yeah.
replicates really fast like that.
That's right.
So men and women, do
Mhm.
your breast
Yes,
examinations.
yes. Do
I
your
know.
examinations. There's tons of information out there for you to be able to do it, and that's why it's really important. And I even teach both my kids, my son and my daughter, about making sure that you know your own body. And
Yes,
that goes for anything, not even just cancer. Like, I'm just like, look, touch and feel around. Like, I mean,
you
it's
do.
your body. You're not doing that standing outside. Within your own room.
Right.
Things. But you want to really make sure you know your body because if something doesn't feel right, then that's a sign. Like you need to go get it checked out. And if you're not paying attention to your body, spending time with just you and your body, that's it.
Right.
Then you'll just be like, well, that's really nothing. And it could lead to something. And if you would have paid attention earlier, then you would have been able to get it taken care of much sooner.
And that's the thing, not just your breasts. Feel on your neck, your
Yeah,
armpits,
everything. Yeah.
your growing, like she
Yeah.
said, get to know your body. If you feel something that seems kind of weird, don't be scared, go get it checked out. It's
Yes.
better to to get it checked out and nothing about it than waiting to the last minute.
Right.
not just breast cancer, there are people that got diagnosed with colon cancer just from a lump that they felt,
Mm-hmm.
or other types of cancers. They even had esophageal cancer in their throat
Mm.
because they just felt like they couldn't swallow anymore, and then they go get it checked out and they had cancer in their throat. They never knew that you know
Yeah, I mean, it's for everything. Even the twins, when they were babies, they both had gotten staph infections.
hmm
Mm.
And so what happened is they had like a little knot, both of them, like right in the back of their heads. And so, of course, you're holding your baby, and I feel, and I'm like, there is a knot. Like, what is this? It was noticeable on my son, not my daughter. She had a lot of hair. But
Mhm.
it's because I paid attention and I was feeling around and I was like, this knot, it doesn't feel normal. So they actually had to go and they had to have it biopsied and they actually had to have it drained, and they were probably about maybe 6 months old. So it's like
wow.
it doesn't even, in terms of cancer, it's like you said, everything you need to pay attention to your body. If your children are small and they are not able to really understand, you need to make sure you're paying attention to their bodies because you just never know.
And
Mhm.
just speaking of that, you have something, Tammy, or you, because I just want to
No,
go
go
into one
ahead.
more.
And as you can see, Tasha's a nurse, so she knows what she's, Tasha's, I call her Nurse Tasha. So anytime I'm like, Tasha, I got a bleeding ear. Tammy, what does it look like? Tasha, I don't know.
Tammy.
No, I wanted to say something. So,
Yes.
well, Tasha, you go with your way because I want to talk about this diet thing. So we'll
Okay.
deviate
Okay.
to that after you go where you
Okay.
go.
So just putting this up there, guys. This is for men breast cancer too. Why you should check your breasts. There may be a routine, a little bit of research that most male breast cancers are only found by checking the chest. So check your chest. The warning signs are inverted nipple, a lump behind the nipple, or any discharge or reddening of your skin or dimpling. Remember, 80% of lumps are not cancerous. But if you feel or see any changes, get checked by your doctor. If only to put your mind at rest, go get checked. Go on, each day, the same date of each month to check your chest. So if you start today, which is, what is today? Today's the 12th. Check it today and then check it November 12th. Keep doing that. Let that be your new, resolution. You don't have to wait till the New Year's to start it. Also, they have this walkthewalk.org, and it's for men breast cancer survivors, or even if you just want to support them. Okay, just to give that out there to let everybody know about it. And thank you. Now, what were you saying, Tammy, about diet? Just to pitch on about diet. So when I got pregnant, I had this thing about, oh my gosh, now I got to find out what foods that I want Samara not to eat that's good. I don't want her to be hooked on sugar, so I need to try this and I need to try that. So
Mind you,
doing a lot of
she's a 44-year-old mother for the first time.
yeah.
So she's buying all files in nature, like, Tasha. I call her husband Abraham and Sarah because he's 50. I'm like, y'all having this damn baby at 80 years old. What the hell she come here to? She's a whole adult.
Yeah, we would be 90,
Because
94
she's
years
a
old
whole
if you
adult.
we're 94 if you add our ages together. So I researched, and I actually follow this lady on Instagram, and I got to get her name because it just went out my head, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
I realized that there are cancer agents in milk. It's called carcinogen.
Yep.
Carcinogen is in the milk. Almond milk doesn't have it, but regular milk has it.
And I
Yes.
can't
Some
drink it.
products even have it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it could be some type of macaroni and cheese, or just something with milk product in it. It may say carcinogen. If it says
Yeah.
carcinogen, that's cancer agents. So, we're putting that in our body. And of course, they say, oh, that little bit's not going to harm you. Who's to say that? It might be your trigger for your body.
And
Mm.
another thing related to that as well, it may not actually even be the food, right? So,
Correct.
it could be the container that it's in. So
Correct.
that's why it's really important when, there are food scientists and engineers who study that. And that's why it's important what materials are actually in the plastic. because
Yes.
that can do it as well. You know, you're
Right.
putting this food in the microwave, it's in a
Right.
plastic container. And so, not even just paying attention to the food, but the containers where you're putting the food inside of.
Those plastic plates at the cookouts, you throw them in the microwave and it melts some.
I
Yeah, you eating that.
love
Yes.
Mm.
it.
Don't
Makes me
do
sick.
it. I hate it. People do. You know how you go to the store and you pick up your
Stop
fried
it.
fish and they have it in that white styrofoam and you throw it in the microwave and it melts a little bit in there and it's this
Yes.
color. You just ate that. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, you just ate it. You're like, well, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
No, you
Hello,
ate
just
it.
enter that into your body, some more toxins, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention everything that they put in everything that we don't even know about, right?
And your
Exactly.
deodorant, your makeup.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
look at it. If you research, there's so many words that they kind of like they mask it so it doesn't
Mhm.
say the word cancer or
Right.
CA in it, but it's actually some type of cancer agent and you
Yeah.
wouldn't even know it.
Yeah.
There's like in cereal, they put it in our kids' cereal.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
cereal that your kids eat, it may have BHT on it. Those
Yeah.
things make you get fat, diabetes, hooked on sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So BHT is another one that you got to pay attention to. It
Yes.
causes all these things, you know?
And you know what's so funny about BHT? That is in a lot of the containers that they even have for kids. So the
Yes.
thermoses,
You
the
know, I'm sitting
lunch
here like, oh y'all,
boxes.
I'm sitting here like, oh, so y'all just gonna talk y'all damn language, and I'm gonna sit here and don't. Okay, I'm gonna sit. Y'all better not talk about no shoes. No, oh, BHC. Oh, I don't know what that is. You know, spring ladies. No, that's interesting though.
But when you pick up that water bottle, and you're going to go work out. If you get it, it will have that on the water bottle to let you know that it contains that. So
See, I put mine in a regular water bottle.
So they give you those signs and stuff, but you don't know because
people don't know.
you
Yeah,
don't
people
look it up. You don't know
they're
what
not
that
paying
is.
attention. Yeah, no. They're
Another
like,
thing
oh,
that
And
okay.
I keep telling people, your STEM people, that's a whole nother world. And if you don't know, it just goes over our head. It does. So, like when people have been sick in the hospital, and I'll be like, get Nurse Tasha. And not Tasha start talking that shit. They start being like, wait a minute, like, okay, I can't. They be like, no, okay, now you gotta bring it down because now you're talking to a person who has knowledge of this stuff y'all throw out to us, and we're like, oh, okay, no.
No.
So,
yeah, and you have to do your own research.
be
You
your own
have to
advocate.
that's right. You have to ask questions. You even go get a second or a third opinion. It is nothing wrong with that. I have heard of so many cases of women and men being misdiagnosed and then thinking that they have some form of a disease and they don't because they just went with, oh, the doctor said I have this. And so let me start taking this treatment. Let me get this surgery. And then come to find out that
that's
they
not
didn't
what
even
they
have
had.
anything.
Or they give them the wrong
first place.
medicine. That has happened to a couple of people in my family.
Yes.
Saying they have lupus and you taking this medicine, like what? And then people also don't understand the domino effects of things. Like people who typically have diabetes, they end up start taking that stuff and then they end up have bad liver. Like that stuff has so many, bad effects. And of course in our communities, because they're food deserts, people don't go to the hospital until they're sick or then they're dead, right?
Well, they don't do routines. Like get a screening colonoscopy.
Right.
You should get one.
Yes.
What's
And
wrong with
it's really bad because there are many doctors who will give you like 4 or 5 different medications. My mother is diabetic. She has high blood pressure and she has high cholesterol. So, I would tell her, mommy, what is all of this? You should not be taking all of this medication. Like you need to ask questions.
And they counter react.
Yes, and it wasn't until she went to the pharmacist at Walgreens, and people don't give pharmacists enough credit.
Right.
They go to school. They're not just working at CVS and Walgreens. Just
ask them questions.
Yeah, passing out. They have doctorates in pharmacy, in medicine. This is what they know, and people don't utilize them enough and take their degrees seriously. So it wasn't until the pharmacist said something, because I was like, Ma, you're taking a lot of these. How do you know that this is, having any effect on you? And the pharmacist, told her, like, you can take this, but I wouldn't take this medication. You may be able to find a different type of a medication to take with this high blood pressure, with this diabetic medicine. And it was like, Ma, your doctor gave you all of this, and he didn't even like say anything. He just like, oh, here's 3 prescriptions, and that's it. So like you said, Tasha, you have to be your own advocate. You got to ask the doctor questions. Just because they're doctors don't mean that they're God.
They're human. They're human.
That's why Tasha was in labor for 30,000 hours, because she was up in there.
Whatever, Tammy. I wasn't in for
I was like, your ass shouldn't have been no nurse. Was up in there.
I was in there because we were supposed to, go the right way to have the baby, but I wouldn't dilate. I just stopped.
And she went to tell the doctor. The doctor said, well, you want to put a balloon? She said, well, would you put a balloon in your penis? I was like, Tasha.
Why did you tell them I told them that, Tammy? He told me it wasn't going to hurt. And I asked him if he ever had one put in him.
I know that's right. Flip it back on him.
And she was in labor for 30,000 hours.
30,000 hours. She is way too much. That's supposed to be another topic when we talk about labor and delivery. She giving up all my little juices. You see that?
So wait, Ish, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So how many years have you been cancer-free?
For 7 years.
All right, congratulations.
Yes,
and the date was, when's your anniversary?
Oh my goodness, March the 8th.
All right, all
that
right.
Is the date. But even, what is, I think something else is a really big stigma, and it was a really big stigma for me because there were so many people that I didn't even tell, like I didn't say anything. Like even some of my girlfriends, like when I told them, years later, like I had surgery and everything else, but I like played it down. I'm like, yeah, I just got to go for like this little procedure.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the hospital. I'll be home recovering. And like they came to visit me, brought me flowers and everything and didn't even know.
But there was something that you said on Instagram that made me immediately, you was like, I didn't want to seem weak. I didn't want
I did not.
Sorry for me. So
that is just, it's not my personality. It's not me. I'm always on the go. I'm always doing stuff. So I've seen other circumstances and situations where as soon as you tell someone like that you have an ailment, then it just automatically
on the sick and afflicted list.
You automatically disabled. Yeah.
You about to go.
Like you automatically disabled. Like they ain't gonna ask you to go nowhere. Like, well, why
they don't call you?
To the mall? Like, oh girl, we went to the mall, but yeah, it's all right. We wasn't gonna ask you, like, wait, to go to the mall? So I was like, I didn't even want nobody thinking that. I didn't want nobody having side conversations about me. So it was
being scared to come and visit you,
Yes.
That happens. People like, oh, I don't want to visit them. Why not?
Because I don't want to get to see. Like, so I really felt that and really kept it like to myself. Like my immediate family knew. And even for my mother, I was like, Ma, don't be running your mouth. Don't be telling nobody, don't nothing. Like, I'm like, look.
She told people.
She told some people.
She told the praying people.
Yes, she did. She definitely did that. But when I was like, okay, Mom, I'm ready to share. Do you know, like, she just shouted. It was like, thank you. I can tell people.
She been holding it in. She told her prayer warriors, though.
She definitely did.
She did do that.
Yes.
She definitely did do that. But I didn't want to feel weak, like I couldn't do my job and, feel like people were going to be like, oh, Aisha's all fragile.
Don't try to be overly nice to you and kind.
Yes. I'm
and
like, look, keep it real. Like, I'm still me. So don't be like, oh, you need me to go get your groceries? Like, no, but I can get my own groceries. No. So I didn't want any of that. So I just really just played it off like, oh, I'm just having this little procedure. I'll be, under the weather for a minute. And that was it. But once and even like the walks, everything, like I pretended like, no, I'm
like,
serious.
Walks, I'm good over here.
It was to a point where honestly, I kept pushing it further and further where I got to the point where I almost forgot. You know what I'm saying? Like people would be talking about it and I'd be like, oh, man, that's really sad for them. Like not even in my own mind, not like.
Well, you said it and when you were on Instagram, you was like, I realized that I'm a survivor.
Yes, you are.
because I would never say that and even admit it to myself. So it was hard to even say it out loud and say something to somebody else. Right. I remember I went to an event with my mother. It was an event for women. Um, it was like an empowerment luncheon. And at the end of the event, they asked, we're going to have all of the survivors of cancer come up and we want to
What
just.
you do? Go to the bathroom?
I stayed right there in my seat.
That's like me at the wedding when they be like single women. I be like, y'all go play football over that damn bouquet. I'm good over here. Like we not doing that.
Right in that seat, and my mother was like pinching me under the table. She really was like looking at me like, "You're not gonna get up," and I'm like, "No, ma'am, no, ma'am." That was probably about maybe 4 years ago. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about because I'm good. So I don't need to do that. But I just came to a point, and this was when I put out the post. So this wasn't even like, this was just recently where I was just like, listen, I have to share my story and talk about what has happened to me because it will help somebody else.
Right.
And we should really be able to at least help people take off these stigmas of feeling like they need to hide and be afraid to talk about it. And I got to keep it to myself because there's so much, especially within our communities, that we don't talk about. And that's why we can't help each other heal and we can't help each other progress. Absolutely. And, it's just been a lot of like reflection for myself, even being in COVID, that I was just like, you know what? Stop playing around. Like you have to do this. And when I tell you, so many people, men and women, people that I knew and people that it's like acquaintances. Like I know her, but really don't know me. They were like, thank you for sharing. And people who said like, yeah, I actually was like, I need to go talk to my family about my situation or whatever it was. I don't even know what it was, but I was just like, wow.
So it was funny because Tasha, right before we came on the show, and like Aisha and I are cool. Like I remember this one time we went out to dinner and we were, I gotta share this story. We were talking about how educated women just go crazy over men. And she was like, Tam, I have seen some of the best and the brightest go crazy over a piece of peanut. And we were dying, like sitting at the table hollering, like, remember when the astronaut lady ran across the country with a diaper? With it, right? So we've always had a real chill. It was me, Aisha, Larry Jones, and Tia. We were all cohort members, and we rocked through that whole MPA program at Rutgers Newark. But I just wanted to say that I'm very proud of you. Thank you for sharing. Tasha was like, well, this is her bio about her career. I said, but I want to focus on that because a lot of times people think, oh, if you have education or if you have a certain type of insurance, I'm like, it puts a face to breast cancer, which means it has no respect of person, and if you're a STEM person who's well aware of BTH or whatever the hell y'all but again, if you were aware of what was going on, it wasn't too, it wasn't beyond you.
So, and I even had friends who this is what they do, like research. Like they research cancer, they research breast cancer, and they were mad at me. Like, I do not believe that you did not tell me.
Right.
Like, are you serious? And I'm like, I just didn't want, I just didn't want anybody to know. Yeah. I didn't want
it's a part of our suppression because I know me as a strong person, I suppress. I will put something way back here and then I'll be crying like, wait. That did happen, really. It's suppressing. I realize that I'm a whole suppressor. I will compartmentalize and put that thing way back and totally forget about it.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. I package it up.
We're at the six minutes to the hour here. This was a great dialogue.
It was.
So before we get off of here, I just want to share this. So I did look up the park that you said that was in Dallas, Texas.
I'm going.
What is it called? North
Mhm.
Park, and I see this is what they have there, just in case nobody gets to go, just so
Oh,
you can
I'm
see.
going when I go.
So this is what it looks like.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
All the statues. Yeah.
There's so many of them. So they
Yeah,
have the
there are
statues.
120 of them. Yeah, so I'm
Aisha, I
super
think I see
excited.
you. I think I see you. Oh, I'm just joking.
And also just about this real quick, one thing that I want to share that was told to us that even as women in all of these fields that we had no idea about, like within the United States, in the major cities, there are less than 6% of women represented in the statue form. And so we definitely have to do something about that. Unless you see a woman as a mermaid, as a statue, or something like that, but we need to also be more vocal about women who need their recognition in a statue form. There are men all over the place as statues, but we need to get more women in there as well.
And speaking
Well,
of
you are one
men,
of them.
we have less men that discuss having breast cancer. They don't
Yes.
say that they
So
found a
that's
lump on their
probably
chest,
embarrassing to them,
but it's
like
Yeah.
not.
not. No, it
It
isn't.
shouldn't be.
But if Aisha battled with that, what do you feel like a man would feel? You
Oh
probably
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah.
feminine, or this, how men they don't they process
Yeah,
totally.
no.
But
That's so true.
we like to thank you, Aisha, for
Oh,
coming on
thank
here
you for
and
having
sharing
me.
your story. Your
Yes.
story is amazing. I have a girlfriend of mine named Regina, and she has her podcast as well, and it's called Chemo Glow. So she
Oh.
discusses the glow of chemo. So she's on every Monday at 8 p.m. on Facebook or YouTube. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Chemo and then Glow. If you want to
Chemo
check her
glow.
out, she has people come
Yeah.
on there. She actually has supporters. Their husbands come on sometimes, a group of
Wow.
husbands, and talk about how they were caregivers for their wives and how they took care of them.
Yeah.
Every stage, these husbands are. One husband that was up there, his wife passed away, and he discussed about how he was caring for her.
And then you got to understand, just like when, they say people who are in jail, their families are incarcerated as well. So,
Absolutely, and I work with that
as somebody
population, so that's
going
true.
through cancer, their spouse and their family is going through it too. So
So
they
true.
really need support as well.
Yep. And everybody here, just want to thank you again. It was an amazing story and information. Thank you, Preston and Jenny and Katana, who's supposed to have been on here, but she didn't get on here because she was running late.
She was getting me some food, so
Anyway, but we like to thank y'all again for your love, support, and motivation. And just to let you know, next week we're coming on here. We're supposed to have another guest speaking. It's actually supposed to be a male that's going to be coming on here talking about him being a survivor. So don't forget to tune in, guys.
but
Again,
this is not about breast cancer.
it's about
it's about
cancer.
prostate cancer, right? And that's something that's definitely more common among men.
So make sure that make sure you subscribe, like, and share on your YouTube, Face, Twitter. Get this episode, share it on your page. We appreciate it if you do that. And anything else, Tammy? So you guys have thank you. And you guys have just been fine and tailored. Tune in next week. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Ish. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.